Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed Ali. I'm Director of Product Development in EBusiness Suite. Today we will cover Oracle EBusiness Suite for extension for Oracle Endeca technical considerations. Okay, so let's start. So this is like, I'll just give 1 second to read the safe harbor statement here. Okay, so I will start with overview, why Endeca. So this is some information we got from the survey conducted by Butler Group and Accenture regarding typical ERP user in any ERP system. ERP users spend quite a good amount of their day looking for information. On average, they spend 2 hours per day looking for information. 50% out of that time is data is useful, the other 50% is not useful, and that's lead about like 10% of salary spent. And one aspect is surprising here, that 40% admit that using wrong data. So they spend time, make an effort, and ends up using the wrong data. So that's why we came with the idea to integrate Oracle Endeca with Oracle EBusiness Suite. The idea is transform the ERP system, use the product within EBusiness Suite, make it into information-driven business. The way we are doing that is by circle of activity. You have seen it. So we measure a lot of things about your data, and we show it on the charts, we show it in the matrices, and we identify the problematic area within your system. And based on that, you can prioritize the issues that you would like to address and effectively working to resolving this issue. So instead of looking for problematic area within your system, we guide you through the most important stuff within your system as process owner you would like to focus on. So for the business driven, for that, like do more with less. Like you need to leverage existing EBusiness Suite investment you have. Also, we show you the complete data. We show you the matrices. We show you the charts. We also across the organization and flex field. And also we use data for competitive advantage and make sure the quality of your data. And also simple adapt business solution. We already have one quick installer. It's very easy to deploy and to implement. So I'll just give a demo to show you that how it looks like. This demo is just like presentation. So this is what Endeca looks like within EBusiness Suite. So you will see that we have on the top, we have matrices, we have tag clouds, we have the charts. We have search as Google search, type ahead search, and we have the guided navigation. So from that, for example, here you can have order management. You can identify the order, and then you can go to the lines and take action on that order. So this is how extension looks like within EBusiness Suite. So we will talk about the organic extension for to EBusiness Suite. This is like typical EBusiness Suite. The user is set on front of the computer and they connect it to application server, and that application server is feeding data from the EBS database. What we noted here, we actually introduce EBS Endeca tier within the architecture and technical architecture of EBusiness Suite. We connect it to EBS database. We actually take subset of that data and store it on EBS tier. And when user asking or requesting content within the Endeca, it's communicating with the Endeca server through application server, like communicating back and forth and feeding back the content through the application server. The good question right now, how I can just refresh my data, and that's what we come. We have loading activity setting behind the scene, and that's where you will refresh your data on the Endeca tier. So how that looks like, this is from architecture point of view, what's going on within this EBS Endeca tier that we introduced on the architecture of EBusiness Suite. So the most important stuff when you are building system that integrating with eBusiness Suite to make sure that the security of that system. So we spent a lot of effort to make sure that integrating the security with Endeca to make sure that the Endeca is secure, either the data or the content on the Endeca side. So actually, we matching whatever you have on eBusiness Suite side. So the security, we have it on EBS side is matching the security whatever we have on Endeca side. For each product module that create for the extension, they implement data security that match 100% whatever you have on EBS side. So for example, here you see that we have org ID for the data security, and that org ID is implemented on the Endeca side. We have user security. So when you first log in to EBS, we actually, behind the scene, we will create the user on Endeca tier, so there is no provisioning is needing, or the admin need to do extra stuff to set up for the users. From the UI perspective, the UI Endeca content is actually secured by FND security function. And for the data, as I mentioned, we have implementing the data security that match whatever you have on EBS side. So that means you have user security, you have UI security, and you have data security, all is tight integration with EBS, and this has come out of the box, seamless integration. You don't have to do anything to set up this one. So actually, based on that, between these two systems, we share the same context. What that means that if I am on the enterprise asset page and I already have work order, I can click on that work order. I can launch OA page with predefined query for that work order. So I can move between these two systems right now without any like disconnect, because we are sharing the same context, we are sharing the same information, and we are sharing the same session information here. Same for forms integration. If you are on invoices, either on payable or receivable, you can actually click on the invoice, then actually you can launch the forms invoice workbench here with predefined the invoices. So what we have here, we actually move between these two systems, as I mentioned, because we are sharing the same session information and credential information between these two systems. We actually also in V5, and that's something is coming new in V5, what we did actually in V5, we introduced the concurrent ETL. What that means is from the concurrent program, you can schedule this loading activity. So you can schedule, you can trigger the ETL, which is extract, transform, and load, either incremental or full from the concurrent program. And also you can invoke that programmatically. So you can just invoke that from the concurrent program itself. So this is the footprint, whatever we have it for V5. This is the latest release we have. It came across all the family pack. It's HCM or financial or CRM. So we actually cover every family pack within eBusiness Suite. We already have available today 25 extension. It's available for 12.2 and 12.1. So we will talk about the user experience. So what we added on V5, actually we add descriptive flex field support. So support for DFF for most extension, we have it in V5. We added for all extensions for V5. Flex field will show up on the guided navigation out of the box. We actually treat the flex field as first class support for attribute. What that means is that it's like any other attribute. You can filter on that attribute. You can just treat it as any other Endeca attribute. We have it on the page. We also support sensitive attributes. That means reference, we will show only reference attribute belong to that DFF attribute. We also not not only want to give like productive experience for desktop users, but also we need for the mobile. That's why we came up with mobile template. What we did actually, we add hide and show for guided navigation, so we make like more room for tablet when we show the Endeca content there for EBS extension. So you can just tap in and tap out, and also you can just add filter on that and submit the filter on that. So when you tap out, you just close the guided navigation. What we have also, we actually dynamically make the chart restacking. So instead of you seeing side by side, we have the chart stacking so that you can have much room to see what's going on the tablet. We actually build in eBusiness Suite, we build a custom component or enterprise component to take advantage of Endeca technology. That's what we have. So we built something called cursor view. This is new visual component. It's actually supported grid and cursor views. Is highly configurable. You can just add a lot of stuff there. And actually it's used by multiple extensions within eBusiness Suite. This is how it looks like. So this is like the grid one. It's it's updated by iProcurement, HR. So we actually, it's consumed by many extensions in eBusiness Suite. What we add as for EBS component, we add the quick links, and actually the quick links allow you to actually navigate away from that page either to OA page or to forms or another Endeca page. So that's like another EBS component we developed in eBusiness Suite. So you can just add it and just navigate away to either any other page you would like to have it. We add support to BNG charts. This is option to replace the Flash. Why we did that? Because this is lightweight implementation of BNG. So that means like smaller size, faster to download. So if your browser right now support like BNG, so you can take advantage of that. It also like support Arabic text, as you see. So this is some numbers is coming from BNG charts. So we have an option, it's very easy configuration. It's just like one option, you can set it there. And once you did that, then actually BNG charts will be displayed on the Endeca content. So this is like reduced chart size. You see there we have improvement for the chart size. Also we have optimized the load time. We have like huge improvement, like 400% improvement when we switch to BNG. So enhance diagnosability and performance. So this is like circle of activity we added on V5. So what we add log viewer, and this log viewer actually is access the Endeca server and the Endeca Studio logs, and we have enhanced diagnosability. We add like SQL tracing support for that, and we expose the statistics and performance for caching and indexing. And also what we have, it is tuning the data domains. We add data domains profile to that. So all of these like utilities or enhancement we did in V5. So what actually profile for data domain? Data domain, you can specify number of the threads and cache memory. So it's like configurable attributes. You can set it there. And once you set that profile, you can attach that profile to data domain, and data domain is where the data store in Endeca server. And once you did that, then actually whatever numbers you set it either for the threads or cache will be reflecting on that data domain. So what it has, you have to specify the parameter and then set profile and then just run full load so you can attach that profile. This is something is coming new in V5, it's available right now. What we did actually is we enhance we optimize the performance of the guided navigation. So you see that for full load or for org refinement or tag cloud refinement, we actually add a lot of enhancement for that. You can see it on the guided navigation. This is how the logs looks like on the server side. We have two data domains. We have Endeca domain and we have integrator domain. And then we have different logs setting for either for Endeca domain or integrator domain. As I mentioned before that, we add a log viewer. Log viewer allow you from the browser, then you can just check the logs. You can see what's going on either in a Studio Portal application log or managed server log or Endeca server log. This logs actually is protected by username and password. You can change it. You can assign to different users. So that's allow you to, as an admin or IT, to check what's going on behind the scene for Endeca extension. If something is called you for either see some issues, so you can just go there and check what's going on from your browser. So that's like some experience we added. Not only we need productive experience for the end user, but actually we also need good experience for the IT and the admin. We add SQL tracing, so you can monitor what's going on your database. You can, what you do actually, we actually have a sample graph for you. You can take the copy of that sample, and then actually you ensure that you disable all the trace component there, and just on the workspace.prm, you can set that flag. Once you did that, then you will enable tracing for that component, so you can check what's going on in that component or that extension you have it. Life cycle management. These are the notes. We have different notes. We added for 12.1.3 and 12.2 for installation guide, for globalization, for advanced configuration for SSL or DMZ, and also for the clustering guide. So you can check this documentation. It has details and it has information how to set up and how to add language support and SSL and DMZ. And also, if you need high availability, you can just set it there. Okay, for upgrade, what we did actually for upgrade from V4 to V5, we actually developed a tool for that. So it can take you from V4 to V5. It has like 5 steps as you see it. We actually clone the Endeca side, then we actually apply the Endeca artifacts, change across the component, and then the rebuild data domains again. And all of that first three stages, actually the user's online. Once you have that, then actually you restore the clone, and that will be the user actually will be offline. And then the last step actually will be cleanup. And once you have the cleanup, then actually you are ready to go. So this is like when you need to upgrade, we add the upgrade support from V4 to V5. We already provide scripts and documentation for that. Online patching for 12.2, we support online patching. We actually have prepare phase, and we have apply phase, and we have finalize and cut over and clean up. So for online patching, we support online patching. We have detailed documents step by step for that, so you can have online patching for that. Backup and export, we actually support the backup. This is online backup. So the most important stuff about your system to make sure that your system is running up and running, and you also have backup for that. So what we allow you, we actually provide a utility and tools to make sure that you take backup from your system, from your data domains. So what we have done actually, we have the export data domains utility, and then once the failure happened on the system, you can restore that data domains. Why you are doing that? Because actually you don't need to run full load again. You don't speed like depending on the data and sizing and all that stuff. So it's quickly that you can recover from the online backup you have it. What we have also, we timestamp when we have the backup. So if you have backup from 2 days ago, when we take the backup, we know that we only need to run the changes for only 2 days to get up to date whatever you have. So we provide this backup utility for you right now. Also, we actually provide cloning, and cloning is very useful if you need to build either dev environment or test instance environment. So you build one master template and create multiple copies of that. We also have utility, and we provide scripts to take the cloning. And we have, in our installation guide, we have steps and procedure to do that. It can be used, as I mentioned, to production or development or testing. This is a reference implementation for load balancing and high availability. It's there is no zero downtime for that. So if you have high availability implementation, as we reference, that means there is no failure at all for your system. We have all the steps mentioned in our documentation. This is our, for your reference. It has redundant for each Endeca, even for Clover. So we have that, and we have the steps on our guide and reference I was showing to you. We have a Endeca extension on the cloud. We actually provide a private cloud for that. So we have EPS and Endeca EPS tier sitting behind the firewall, and that we have giving to our customer VPN so they can access the extension from there. And the EPS also database is actually behind the firewall. So that means if you need like extension on the cloud, we already support that. We have team here in Oracle is supporting that, and we already have implementation for that. Personalization. So right now, integration point, we have either EPS admin user or we have EPS user. For EPS users, they actually have the information discovery, integrated search, and they have the KPIs, the matrices. For EPS admin user, they have extra step they can do it. They actually have the control panel or admin page. They can do a lot of stuff from there. So this is like showing accessing Endeca from EPS, like different level, either you EPS user or EPS admin user. So actually, when we are shipping the extension, this is like predefined template for that. Customer need to make a lot of changes. Like we see, the customer need to change the display name, or the charts, or the clouds, or whatever they have. So they need to do some customization on that UI. So actually, what they need to do is they need to copy. This the UI, our UI. They need to copy that UI and make change on that. They cannot make the change whatever we ship, because once we release a patch or do something to fix it, then they will overwrite. So they need to copy on that. This is from the UI perspective. We don't have any tools, like the tool is actually on the browser. So it's very easy that you can just modify the UI from there. If they need to bring additional information like data or attributes, it doesn't exist currently, then actually they need to use the ETL Clover, and this is like the tool. They need some expertise there, so they can add like additional attributes they would like to have it. So as I mentioned, once you make your copy from that UI, and then we make these modifications, then actually you define FND function and include that function in your role, and then grant access to that FND function, and then coming to our UI, OA UI, and just point to your modified page instead of our page. So this is like the same steps we are doing. You need to do it here. We have documentation for that, so you can just go through the documentation, and we have the steps how you can do that. Metadata UI. What we added, actually, we add metadata for all attributes. We have UI right now, so you can make the change for the metadata. You can add more metadata, or you can modify existing metadata. So this is how it looks like from EPS side. So here you can just search for any data domains. It will bring you all the attributes corresponding to this data domain, so you can make the change for that. So installation. So we will talk about the installation. We actually come up with something called quick install. As I mentioned, we don't want to give only the end user the productive experience, but also for IT and admin, we need also to give them a good experience. That's why we create a quick install. Quick install is pre-packaging everything. We have it in one installation. It's very easy to deploy and to get it up and running in one day. So it's actually one day. We actually have this quick install run from V1. We are right now on V5, and we have many guys, which is actually, and many customers installing that, and it takes one day at least to configure the installation with artifacts of EBS and start to bringing data from EBS. So this is a prereq and bill of material. So you need at least Linux 5.6, 64-bit. And what's come, our quick installer, we have EID, Endeca Information Discovery 3.0, and that's component on the slides what's come on. Also, we have a web application server on that. And we have Oracle Express database. We have Oracle Express database as initial. If you need to migrate to EBS database, we have the steps mentioned how you can migrate from Oracle Express on to EBS database. We also have like EBS product family patches that need, and as I mentioned, like V5 is available for 12.1.3 and 12.2. So right now, the good question is where I install EBS Endeca tier. It's up to you, actually. You can have it as a separate server. You can install it there, or you can install it on the same EBS middle tier. If you have enough room from CPU and memory perspective, then actually you can install on the same EBS tier. Okay, so right now, how about the sizing and capacity planning? So actually, it depends. The size, it depends. It depends on the number of named users versus active users, number of extensions you have implemented, how many extensions you would like to implement on your system, and also the size of the data for different data domains. Data domains, as I mentioned, is where when we tap to EBS database and get the data, where we are storing this data, and that's what's called data domains. And also how frequently you would like to have these incremental loads. So all of that, we already have the sheet. When we have all of that, we have sheet where we put this information, and then we come up with the sizing. The other aspect here is for Endeca load types. We have full load and we have incremental load. So actually, for that, it depends where you are running full load or incremental load. Both actually will have impact on EBS. But keep in mind that because right now, you're getting the content and the data from for any extension from Endeca EBS tier, that means you are offline or offloading the EBS tier. So that means actually on the other side, when you have this incremental, you put like more load on EBS database. But on the other side, for the online activity, user activity, actually you offload EBS, because just like EBS right now is just like passing the content to the end users. As I mentioned, you have to make sure that you have sufficient memory and CPU for optimizing that. This is what the quick install looks like. This is pre-configured template, as I mentioned. So we have a studio, we have Endeca server, and we have integrator. This has come with artifacts for EBS. It has all the investment we done from EBS Endeca tier perspective. It has all the custom components or the EBS components we built it. It has a lot of stuff there. So that's what you will get, and this is pre-packaged for the quick installation. How it look like on the disk? That's how it look like on the disk. We have two domains. We have Endeca domain, and that's Endeca domain. We have Endeca managed server and studio managed server. We have also the integrator, and on that integrator we have Clover managed server and the sandbox. Why we need Endeca two Endeca domains, or why we need two domains? Because actually we have different JDK. We have 1.6 and 1.7, so that's why we have two domains. This is the default ports. Whatever you have, this show it on the slide. That's like default ports, we have it. Okay, so data integration consideration. So as I mentioned, we have two types of loading the data. We have full load and we have incremental load. So actually, what full load is doing, actually, full load, when you are running first time to create these data domains, we have full load. So that means it's bring the whole data to Endeca tier. And when you are doing that, actually, we also bring not only the data, we bring the metadata as well. And from that perspective, that the source of truth for metadata is EBS. So once you running the full load, that means you wipe out the metadata and you wipe out the data and bring the whole stuff again from EBS. You actually, when you are loading the data actually is coming from EBS views. That's what a product team have been developed, and this views is setting on EBS tier. One hint, you see it here, that avoid full load while you actually access the content, because once you have that, we already have the hint, and once you get that, you will have handy how to avoid make the system offline or inaccessible while you are running the full load. The other aspect of, or the other type of loading the data is incremental load. And what that means, that when you need to refresh, once you refresh your data, then actually you bring the whatever the change is happening. So we actually have timestamp for each attribute. So while we are running, we only bring the change what's happening on EBS side. So that's like we have an incremental load there. So the good question right now, how often should I run the incremental refresh? It depends. If you have a module that like only for reference data, like inventory, then maybe you can just take long time to refresh that data. But if you have transaction data, like order management, then you need to refresh more frequently than that. Keep in mind that like more refreshment on that means like more impact on EBS production. But when we are actually, we will tune that. We make sure that this is running on transaction system, so we will tune for that, and we know that you will be running a couple of times every hours. So so that's how it goes when we implement the extension. Less often means like longer time before updates are refreshed. It also depends on the user. If you have EBS user that need to refresh frequently, then it's up to user. Then you need to refresh more frequent. Multi-language support. We have, this is the language we supported. We have 22 language supported. This is for Endeca EID 3.0. We actually add more and more when coming release for the language. Keep in mind that for each language, you need to have a separate installation right now. We actually have in our globalization guide and documentation how you can implement that. But if you have two languages, for example, if you have English and you have French, then you have to have two EBS Endeca tier instance for that. So this is additional resources. We have it. So we already have a YouTube channel. It has a lot, so you can just search EBS Endeca. You will find a YouTube. So we have upload the YouTubes there with the latest stuff, so you can check there. We already have EBS LinkedIn group, so you can communicate with us for that on the LinkedIn. If you need to install the EBS Endeca extension, so actually you can go for e-delivery. The slide show exactly where you go and what module you need to download from there. We also have set of documentations. I'm just highlighted here. We have installation guide, plus we have the admin guide, which has like all pre-configuration and setup you need to do it. We also have online training, like we have many training there, so you can check this training for more information regarding the EBS extension. And the last stuff, if you have any issues regarding the extension, then you can log SR with support, and then we can look at that. So actually, this is what we covered. We covered the overview. We covered the organic extension to EBS. We covered the user interface, personalization, lifecycle management, and the diagnosability and performance. And also, we covered the installation, and we covered the data integration consideration. And the last stuff, I just give you additional resource you can check for more information regarding that. Yeah, thank you very much for watching.